hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby and Beardy Show. I'm Bobby.
And I'm still Beardy. Well, we're here today reviewing the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I knew I was going to mess that up, but I didn't.
There are time codes below. Should you wish to use them, jump around a bit.
And we are on Spotify should you wish to listen rather than watch the episodes.
That is correct. So, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I'm going to give you the big time rundown, all the facts and figures that you need to know. It's a World War II spy action comedy film, directed, co-written, and co-produced by Guy Ritchie. He's the guy who did Aladdin. Starring Henry Cavil, Isa Gonzalez, Alan Richardson, Henry Golding, Alex Pettifer. It's based on the 2014 book Churchill's Secret Warriors, the explosive true story of the Special Forces desperados of World War II. That book title is too long, by the way. That's ridiculous. It's by Damon Lewis.
Crazy long title.
And the film portrays a heavily fictionalized version of Operation Postmaster. I didn't stutter or stumble or say the wrong word at all. Shut your pie hole. Basically, having done a brief bit of research on it, imagine that the people who wrote this film listened to a guy retell the events of Operation Postmaster, having heard them from his mate, who heard them from his mate, who watched half a documentary and then went to bed. It's kind of that sort of historical accuracy. There's some truth in it, but it's mostly just a thing set in World War II, and there's some submarines involved. So don't, if you're the sort of person, straight off the bat, you're the sort of person who hates historically inaccuracies, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. This film was released on the 19th of April 2024 in America. It's got a runtime of 2 hours 2 minutes. Budget 60 million, with the worldwide box office of 27 million. Now, technically, that makes it a bit of a bomb. However, it didn't get a full worldwide cinematic release here in the UK and a couple of other countries. Amazon Prime Video bought it, and it was released here on the 25th of July, which is roughly when I watched it a little while ago. Beardy's on catch up with me on this one. So yeah, technically a box office bomb, but I imagine with all the lovely money they get from.
Yeah.
Beardy, what's the story?
Well, the story is there is I heard there's a war going on somewhere around 1940.
News to me. Small disagreement most.
Yeah. It's a kerfuffle, really.
Handbags at dawn.
Some of the
all right, it's not that.
Some of the German fleets and some of the refueling is being done in, I think it's Spanish-owned territory around Africa, which is ungentlemanly, I've heard, at best. So it seems that British intelligence and special forces and so on want to do something about it, but they can't be seen to be doing anything about it. So they need to create some sort of club or ministry of ungentlemanly warfare, maybe, to go and deal with this other ungentlemanly warfare that's going from the Germans. And it's the
too much ungentlemanly
story,
warfare.
The calamity. Yeah, it's how they pick up their team, get there, deal with the issue. Do they get away with it? Do they not? What goes on? Watch the film to find out.
Or listen to this review. I'm sure we'll tell you. Yeah, basically, the Germans are storing their vessels in Spanish-owned ports. Spain are neutral, so England and the Allies can't do anything about it. So they've got to do a sneak mission rather than just like bomb them, essentially, which is the alternative at the time. Yeah. So this is the film. Here's a fun fact for you. Those of you who remember episode 1 when we reviewed Argyle, I did a little bit on my 3 most anticipated movies of the year, and this actually made the list. That was before I realised it was going to Amazon Prime. Got back to that.
Yeah.
The other 2 were Deadpool and Wolverine have a scuffle, and The Fall Guy. Loved both of those films. I think we both did.
Yep.
Will I love this one as much? No. I'm going to be honest. I'm sure we've talked about this recently, but some films on streaming services just feel like direct-to-DVD movies, but on bigger budgets these days. Yeah. That's the sort of perception I have of, your Netflix, your Amazon, straight-to-streaming movies. I think it's a shame this movie didn't get a proper release. I think it would have done okay. I think people would have gone to see a film based on the trailer, at least, because it looked like a fun action Guy Ritchie World War II movie. Technically, it didn't do that. It was a bit of a bomb, but they got that money, like I said.
So, like I say, money-wise, maybe it didn't, but it did everything it was supposed to. It was funny. It was very tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, it was very Guy Ritchie. You don't think it was funny?
I don't think it was funny. I also don't think it was very Guy Ritchie. Right. This film doesn't contain any of what I consider to be the trademark Guy Ritchie dialogue magic. His other films, starting all like Snatch, and even the bad King Arthur film starring David Beckham as that guard. And every time you see him, you're like, what the hell is David Beckham doing here? They all have a certain rhythm in the way the characters interact with each other, especially during like planning stages, and they bounce the dialogue, and it's all normally coupled with these visuals of like the plan being planned out, or they're actually doing something and they're like telling a story of how it happened. There's none of that. It's mostly just a bunch of guys putting on their best. Chip, cheerio, lads. We're going to go over there and deal some bloody Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare to those bloody bastards. And it's like 4 of the characters are basically doing that. And it's just the same thing for 2 hours.
So, yes and no. I do agree that it's maybe not the most Guy Ritchie film I've ever seen, but it also fits into his category more than anyone else's I could think of. I do get your point where it doesn't follow the exact same pattern, but there is a point where the main 5 characters, all of the part of the Ministry, they are talking through their plans, why it's not going to work. They do that little patter between each other. Like, you do this. All right, chap, I'll do that. Fine. It's not the most, like I say, the most Guy Ritchie thing ever, but it has elements, especially when they go free the 5th guy from where he's being held captive. That felt more like it to me. But again, I do agree. It's not Snatch. It's not.
Yeah, but even the bit I think you're referring to is where they're lying down in some grass and they're like scoping out the place, and they're talking about what they're going to do, but they don't really. It's kind of just them lying in the grass chatting, and then Alan Ritchson just goes and does his own thing. That section, right?
Yeah. That, and when they actually get to him when he's sort of being tied up and he's got.
Oh, when they actually, they take him down and his nipples are being electrocuted. Yeah,
those 2 parts are more like it. Plus, when they're in the bottom of the boat and they're discussing like the plans have had to change and like, what they have to do, or when they've got that guy who has to swim across and put a bomb at the beginning, and all those parts feel a bit like it, but they seem to be missing a little bit. But it's just enough. It's Guy Ritchie, but it's not his usual patter.
Yeah, I found it lacking, as I can clearly make blatantly obvious.
As you will say many times.
I will. Can I just get my biggest gripe out of the way? And I think for me, this is a huge gripe. Right. Basically, the action in general has this major problem. And this is a Hollywood trope in which you can have your big machine gun and you put a suppressor on it, or some people call them silencers. And the Hollywood trope is that instead of it going bang, 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 it goes ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And like it's like a really quiet and impossible quiet weapon. But I've been to World War II reenactments because I'm a big flipping nerd, and I've seen those guns fired with and without suppressors, and they are loud. They are so loud. And if they were only used in one scene, I would 100% forgive them. Because I've forgiven so many other films, the John Wick franchise, for example, where that's all they use, more or less. Yeah. There's certain scenes where it's just they're in huge crowds and they're going pew, pew. And so I'm happy. I'm ready to forgive. It's a trope. That's what cinema movie universes live in. But basically, every single action scene has them using these guns, using these suppressors, and they're walking around mowing down Germans who are incapable of hearing these guns. And not only is it boring because you're essentially watching the same thing for all action scenes involving guns where they're just walking around going. But it's just completely unrealistic, and it broke the movie for me completely. So, some people might not care about that at all. Not at all, like at all. It might not even cross their minds. But for me, irked me to my core.
I get where you're coming from, but like I say, it's not trying to be a serious film, so it didn't bother me. That's the part for me. If it's trying to be an accurate reenactment, okay, do it right. This one is it's silly, and it's trying to be silly. And...
Yeah, I would refer you to my second part of that thing where I found it boring that it was basically the same thing happening every time as well.
Yeah. I agree. Like I say, it does seem a bit like we have this one section written, and then someone else came in and wrote the next part and did the exact same thing, and like, oh, okay, cool, nice.
And they filmed it, and no one noticed that they were just walking around.
Yeah.
I'll give the movie some praise though. Henry Cavill has a very fun little gimmick of stealing coats from people, be them dead or alive. He start when he's being recruited. He is just taking things from the meeting room.
Yeah,
and the people recruiting him are kind of allowing it to happen, and then he gets so confident. He's like, "I'm taking your coat as well," to the guy wearing it, and he steals coats throughout the rest of the film. I found that to be a fun little gimmick. I liked it.
Yeah, I think that very similar to our previous review on The Crow, Bill Skarsgård's character in that could have been written very, very well. He's a great part for him to play, and just not living up to expectation. Very similar for Henry Cavill in this. It's almost perfect for him. And then parts of the story and parts of the writing fall a bit short, which is upsetting because I'm a big fan of his.
Same.
Yeah, it could have been done better. It deserved to be done better.
Yeah, it felt lacking in a lot of places. I found that the film really wanted to be Inglourious Bastards. So
I get that vibe a lot.
The big scene in Bastards where the good guys give themselves away to the Germans by using the wrong three. They do. Is that the correct one they should have done, or is that the correct? Anyway, whichever. One's German.
I know what you mean.
One's not, and it gives the game away that they're spies and big murders all. And they do that sort of thing in this film, but instead of it being like a gesture, it's terminology used to reveal that you're of Jewish descent instead. And it's just like, but it's not really nailed as well. And then they kind of just like they do it, and there's a capture scene, and then they're like, forget about that. They're just going to escape. It's fine. It's just like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I get that.
It's just lacking. I just found the film to be so lacking, and I was, like I said at the start, I was so looking forward to this film. It was one of my 3 most anticipated films of the year, and I was like, this is a bit fine.
The world wouldn't give you all 3, all right? Like, you couldn't enjoy everything. I do think that it's very much the epitome of the meme of like, okay, you can copy my homework but change it a bit. And it just didn't change it, or it changed it badly. Like, that's all it was. There were some parts, again, I do like. So, obviously, this is based on sort of real story. It's very highly dramatized. Ian Fleming, the writer of Bond, is in it. And did you notice how he introduces himself? I loved this.
Does he say Ian Fleming or something like that?
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does. It was stupid, and I loved it. It was just dumb. But it was quite nice. They also, I think, it's not a spoiler, but nearing the end, they say like one of the characters in this was potentially the basis for Bond himself.
Henry Cavill's character is going to be based.
This only is a story that came out kind of recently, because from everything I've heard, it was always supposed to be sort of Christopher Lee because he was part of this. He was a lesser known member of this actual mission and other things along with it. And I thought he was the basis for it because he was also Ian Fleming's cousin, I believe. But
to say, there's probably war stories and things.
It's probably 5 people he knew, and he made the best of them. Like,
and then just ramped
together
up the misogyny and seducing of women.
Yes.
Ian Fleming is mentioned in quite a lot of war films these days. Operation Mincemeat came out a couple of years ago, which is a very good. He's a character in that as well, so he pops up. But he was around at the time doing that sort of thing. It's cool to see, but doesn't make a good movie. Tell me more things you liked about it. I demand to know.
I think that the interaction between the main five characters, I'm really bad at the memory on this. So I think that the way that they converse and interact, like say Alan Richardson's character, I like him as an actor as well. And he's just very much the beast of the group, does his own thing, runs off. He's very hand to hand, and when everyone else has a gun, he just gets a bow for some reason.
Does like taking people's hearts, it's true.
Yes. I'm sure, the point where he's trying to collect a certain amount, which is just an odd... I want to know if that was actually true. It's kind of a gruesome turn on it, but...
Well, the actual person he's based on does not look anything like Alan Richardson. He's like a small normal-sized man, and Alan Richardson is the size of 12 buses. So
I have to admit, like, there was a comparison I saw recently where, like, obviously Henry Cavill played Superman, and then you see Alan Richardson next to him, and it's like, if you're making Superman look small, the hell? Like, he is a big boy. But he's also a good actor. He's funny. I enjoyed it. I think the stuff with Marjorie, Isaac Gonzalez, her character infiltrating the Germans on the island. That was there was parts of that seemed quite tense.
I thought that was the strongest side of the movie, to be honest. Until the Inglourious Basterds rip off, and then just kind of they just dropped that thread entirely, sort of thing.
Yeah, her section with like her handler, but businessman on the island who is building the relationships. I'm going to say his character's name because I cannot pronounce the actor's name, so his name's Heron. I'm not going to try. That was a much better side of it, and I think that the German captain played by Heinrich Löhr was also quite well done. I think again, if he's going to do that sort of jokey, almost Inglourious Basterds, he was quite close to it for me. That side of the story was better, and I wanted it not to be. Although there were some errors in it, which was, as I was watching, I was like, this isn't okay, but it's small things that most people wouldn't care about. So, yeah, fine.
Yeah, honestly, the main issues I have are the Henry Cavill gang side, how they talk to each other. Chip, Perio, we're bloody British, aren't we? Oh, what? Tea and crumpets? It's really like generic nonsense. And then and then the action, it's like,
I really wish we'd thought about it and done the entire review in that accent.
Oh,
we should have done.
No, Lord,
no, it would have been brilliant.
Lord, no.
Fine.
Oh, dear. I've kind of been loosey goosey with my spoilers today. I might have to change from the non-spoilers to spoilers. I've kind of just said some things. I haven't gone full spoilers. It's like medium spoilers. I feel like
it's medium spoilers.
Schmedium spoilers.
But this film doesn't have a big twist reveal or anything. It is exactly what it says it's going to be. The only twists kind of push the story along a little bit better, but they're not like oh my god, what's happened? It's just this is going to make the complicated plan even more complicated. Okay, fine.
Don't worry, we'll solve it with our suppressed machine gun. Problem solved, boys. Chip, we'll be home for cricket and crumpets.
Yeah, I agree.
No, to be fair, I've been a bit harsh, but the opening scene where they're on a sailing vessel, it's like they're partway through the mission before they're recorded. You flash back to there, and the Germans have come aboard and they're pretending to be Swedish, I think, and that's quite a fun scene.
And so they do it again when they meet the British ship and they try and do it, and it's like, we know who you are. I want to see this guy say in Finnish. It's not great. The issue again with that first scene, there's a big... I like continuity. Continuity issues bother me. Alan Richardson's character, he's done a big murder. He stabbed a load of people. He's covered in blood. It cuts away to the ship and cuts back, and he's clean. Why is he clean? Why is he clean?
He's just had a cheeky wash. He's a washed boy.
True. I don't like. Yeah. Okay. Continuity errors. They play Mac the Knife in the German party. That didn't come out until years after. just a small annoyance. But I was sitting there like, this doesn't seem right to me. And then, yeah, with a small Google, I was like, yeah, so it's off. And it doesn't bother most people, but it really bothers me. I did the same thing with Madam Web. They just don't sit right in my head.
You put a song in the wrong period piece with Beardy. He producers and movie makers. He'll bloody get you.
I'll find you.
He'll find you and he'll go, for shame. And he'll wag his finger and say, tut tut, sir. So
that is how I talk.
Well, yeah. Well, when you're not saying pip pip cheerio, home for cricket and crumpets, which I think might be this podcast's new official slogan.
We're going to get merch with it. Just you and me with big mustaches, home for cricket and crumpets.
Home for cricket and crumpets. All right, it's a 10 out of 10 film for me now, because now I've got some merch ideas. 10 out of 10, best film ever, thumbs up from me. Interestingly,
honest thumbs up review.
My wife's parents watched this film, and her mum was around. She's like, "Oh, we watched the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. We really liked it." And I was like, "I didn't like it at all."
I've married into the wrong family. I'm out.
That's my miserly self. I was like, "No, the guns weren't right. The guns weren't right. They just walk around saying pip pip cheerio, cricket and crumpets the entire film. It's stupid." So I don't think I've got myself any favours with that review.
No.
Have you got anything else to add? Do you want to go into full spoilers, or are we just going to?
Yeah, why not? No, we'll go into a little bit of spoilers. There is some to say. We need to give it the thumbs. You've already given it a 10 out of 10 thumbs up, so
it's a 10 out of 10 thumbs up.
Okay. I will give it a thumbs up. I did enjoy it. Again, I'm a bit more forgiving than you are. It was okay. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. Again, like The Crow wasn't before this. I think there's going to be a string of films that weren't what I wanted them to be, what I expected them to be. It could have done better. It deserved to do better. The actors in it deserved it to do better.
Yeah.
But
I think I'm giving it a thumbs down ultimately because I was
time.
disappointed by it, because I was so excited. I genuinely thought it looked like it was going to be a lot of fun. And then it just kind of just, It's
this let
what
me
it
down
is.
quite a bit.
And then some of the errors and issues I've talked about kind of made it worse for me. And then when you start thinking about things like that, you're like, anyway, you got a couple of spoilers you want to talk about?
I said that a second ago, and I'm really trying to rack my brain for what is proper spoiler.
He doesn't.
I have no
spoilers.
I don't have a lot, if I'm honest. No, I don't have any specific spoilers. Everything in it it's just a very tame film. It is exactly what you expect it to be. Whatever it says it's going to be in the first 5 minutes, it is all the way through.
Well,
yeah, which
we're criticizing
there is an element.
Criticizing The Crow for being unnecessarily gory. They should have dialed it back a bit to open up the franchise, more eyes. And this one's just like a bit mown down with machine guns. You don't really see them die. They just kind of fall over. Nope. Yeah, I say that Alan Richardson actually does the complete opposite. He cuts people's hearts open. I've just remembered. Ignore everything I've just said.
Yeah, it didn't, like you say, I wasn't as hyped for it as you were, but I do like a lot of the actors in it, and I wanted it to do more, and it did let me down. But it's just so middle of the road. It's not bad. It's not good. It's just there. And I wanted it to do better. Like you say, even the bad Guy Ritchie films, like the Robin Hood one, at least it's memorable. This one doesn't have that hook to me, other than the bad accents, which I actually really enjoyed. But you've been saying pip pip cheerio,
crickets and
crumpets. Do you have any spoilers specifically?
No, I don't actually. But just I can't believe I'm living in a world where in 2024, Henry Cavil has had 2 spy films come out, and I've been disappointed by both of them. I'm like, what is happening? Can this man? And also the guy from Uncle, a film I really liked, but everyone else, even the man from Uncle, the bloke,
from Uncle,
the chap from Uncle. That's the knockoff version. Yeah, people don't like that, but I really like that. And but it's like, I can't win. Give me a good film. Right. If we've got nothing else to say, let's wrap up. Beardy, take us home.
Well, thank you for listening and or watching to our unspoilery, disjointed review of the League of Ministry of People of Ungentlemanly Warfare, I think. That's something like that. It's a long title.
That's the
I don't
working
know.
title. It's not as long as Churchill's Secret Warriors, the explosive true story of the Special Forces Desperados of World War II. Ridiculous!
Okay, well, we'll write a note to them saying they need to make titles longer.
I'm going to win a time machine, and I'm going to go back to 2014, and I'm going to say, Damian Lewis, this is slightly too long. You're going to need to cut a few of these words out. This is quite frankly unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, now you've interrupted me very, very nicely. Thank you for watching and listening. Hopefully you found the review useful. Watch the film. Tell me that I'm right or he's right. But until then, we'll see you in the next video and the next review.
See you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.